we're going to start laying down. I'm looking at my pile of things, and I think what I'm going to do is use a bolster and block. You could, if you don't have a bolster, who does? Why would you have one of those? You can use just a rolled up blanket, or you could use a couple of pillows to kind of create the same situation, like a couch cushion or a couple of throw pillows would probably make this work out. So I'm just going to use the block to make it a little higher up, and then I'm going to lay the bolster down so that my back can rest on it. So anything that sort of slopes you up a little bit, I think will work fine. And if you would rather, you can just lie down on the floor. It's not going to be the end of the world. So, yeah. Now, once you've got that situated, you can put your feet together, drop your knees open, make a little butterfly shape, or if that's too intense, you can go for straighter legs. Go for the butterfly. Just check and see which one feels better to you. So, maybe you worked today. Maybe other things happened on the journey to get here. And so, we can use this time to just kind of clear out the mind a little bit, let go of some of those threads. Focus on the breath, and I'm kind of focusing on giving my rib cage a little bit of a lift with the end of the breath there. If you find yourself kind of sliding back into other thought processes, just when you catch yourself, come on back. We'll stay here for, I don't know, another 5-6 breaths or so. One more breath. Now, I'm just going to end the situation I'm doing with my legs before I take out all this other stuff. So, roll and put the other goods off to the side. Oh. If you have a yoga strap, you can bring that with you. If you don't worry about it. You can hold onto your leg or your big toe or something along that line. All right. So first things first, just notice how the pose that we just did left you. Is there kind of a different feeling in your back or around the shoulders or in the hips? And then you could do some little movement, like little windshield wipers, or you could bring the knees into your chest and give yourself a little back massage. I like both. So you could do either or both. at some point you'll come to rest with your feet on the floor so that they're in a position that feels stable and balanced, so the hip doesn't feel like it wants to fall inward or outward. You may, some people need the feet to go wider, so there's a little bit of an inward lean. Well, I like mine a little bit, like a little wider than hips distance, but not too much. You just kind of find that position. We're going to do some things for the shoulder. So we're going to reach the hands down so the fingertips are pointing towards the heels. Pinky fingers down, thumbs are up, and then holding the arms in that position. We're just going to keep stretching all the way through a range of motion until the arms are all the way overhead. Now, if you can't get all the way overhead, don't worry about it. Stop where it's appropriate to stop, and then come all the way back, and the whole way we're just stretching through. So stretching through the arms, bringing it overhead, stretching through the arms, bringing it back. So one more like that. Then we're going to take the hands behind the head, and now we're going to focus on a stretch for the hip flexor and a little bit of a strengthener as well. So the hands are here so you can press your head back into your hands, and then we'll engage the abs to lift a little bit. So we're going to lift the toes off the right foot is what I'm going to start with, so if that's helpful. So I'm going to lift my right toes up and then just glide my leg as best I can all the way out to straight. I'm looking to get that front part of the hip nicely stretched out, toes up, maybe like press through the heel or flex the foot a little bit, and then we're just going to bring that knee straight in and curl up toward it. Stretch it back out, kind of glide it through, and then bring it back in, and glide it through. And again, I just want to avoid pulling on my neck here. So my abs are doing some work. Okay, so now we're going to glide this out, and just for a moment we're going to pause and rotate this leg a little bit so the toes point slightly externally. So we're going to take the knee and bring it towards this right elbow. So curl in so that we're in that sort of external rotation. You're going to plant the foot, stretch out, rotate all the way up to the point, rotate back out, bring it to the elbow. Stretch out, rotate so the toes point up, rotate to the toes point out, bring it back in to that elbow. Okay, so we're going to do one more time. Stretch out, not that whole thing, but just stretch out, rotate so the toes point up. So now we're going to try to do a little bit of an internal rotation. So we're going to rotate the toes towards this left side a little bit. Then we're going to bring that in and curl up to meet it. The foot goes down, we're going to stretch out, then rotate the toes till they point up, rotate the toes inward, coming across, rotate the toes to up, rotate the toes to inward, coming up. Alright, so that's it with the upper body. So now we're going to take that foot or whole leg, rotate it one more time straight up, reach through the front of the hip, and then we're just going to glide it back into place. So we've got that hip, this hip pretty close to even. And then just notice how this side of the body feels compared to the other. Notice the hip itself. So it's a little bit complicated, but hopefully we can manage it on the other side. So we're going to do 3 more of these arm things, and then we'll do the leg. So we're going to reach down nice and firm through the arms, stretch up and over, reaching. Keep stretching and reaching as you bring the arms all the way back. Stretch, reach. I want to feel like I'm almost trying to lift myself off the floor with my arms. Stretch. Okay, last one of those. Okay, so now hands are going to come up behind my head. I'm going to lift my left toes straight out, keeping the toes straight up for this first 3. Just reach through the front of the hip and then curl in. glide the heel out, straight up, and curl in. Glide the heel out, straight up, curl in. So this is where we're going to start to change. So we're going to glide the heel out, toes point up now, but I'm going to rotate them so they point out to the side. So I've got a little change in the way it feels in the front of the hip. Then bring it to this outside left elbow. Stretch out at that kind of external rotation, rotate straight up. Back to the external rotation, bring it in. External rotating all the way until it's straight, then taking it to the top. Then one more time, externally rotating, bringing it in. Hopefully that makes sense. And then stretch the leg out. It's still turned a little bit. Now I'm going to turn it to the top again, stretch. Now we're going to go for the internal rotation. So I'm going to rotate this thigh bone all the way internally and then bring it in. Try to hold that internal rotation as you extend. Then lift the toes straight up, feel that, come back to that internal rotation, come to the twist. Still internally rotated, stretch it out, rotate it up, rotate it back in, one more time. So now I'm going to keep that internal rotation as I lengthen, then turn the toes up, give it one more long stretch there, and then just glide the leg back into place. So, pausing, notice how it went. So this is a movement pattern I'm playing with right now in my own practice. I like what it does. I like how it kind of engages abs, it stretches out, it engages the hip flexors. But you kind of check it out on your own. I keep goofing around with it. Let me know what you think later in the comments or, whatever, in the chat section if you want to. Alrighty. So we're going to use a strap or we're going to just hold on to our leg. I'm going to use a strap. So I have a loop here. I'm going to make this loop a little bit bigger so I can hang on to the edge of it. And then I'm going to bring this right leg in, give it a little hug. Now, you can leave your left leg as it is. I'm going to let my left leg just relax. So hold it onto the right leg. I'm going to spin the foot in circles. And then spin it the other direction. And then point and flex. You could do more of the foot movement if it feels really good. If you had your feet jammed into some crazy shoes today and it's just feeling good to keep moving your foot around, that's fine. Or if you're, wear sensible shoes or barefoot all the time, then you can just go right into the stretch. So I'm going to put this loop around my foot, and then I've got it up here pretty close to the toes so that I can work the calf muscles a little bit. If you have a mind to do it this way, you can put it down closer to the heel. This will let the toes point and you won't get quite as much into your calf muscle. So for some reason that's interesting to you. Then I'm going to put my hand through the loop. Now, if you don't have a loop, you can hold on to your big toe if your arm is long enough for those kinds of shenanigans, or you can just hold on to the back of your leg, or you maybe throw a towel or something like that over top and hold that. So everybody's hamstrings are a little different. If you back off a little bit by taking the leg further down, that will help. You can rotate the leg a little bit outside like we did earlier or inside, and you'll notice how that changes a little bit, how it feels in the hip. For me, this is all about the calf muscles, so I'm pressing my heel up and letting the toes come down. I'm going to hang out with that for a little while. We're going to take about 3 more breaths. Now, we're going to take this leg with the exhale coming up out to the side. If you have some yoga props, like a block or a pillow, you can put that beside your leg so that as you open it, there's something to help kind of catch it in the event that this is kind of a lot. So for me, the inner thighs, this is the most sensitive of these stretches. We've done a little bit of stuff already there, but just giving it a little bit of extra support. You've got a piece of furniture, you could rest your foot up on the coffee table or something like that. That could work maybe too. Just be mindful. Take a nice big breath. You're going to bring the leg all the way back, and then we're going across. Now, I need to move a little bit out, and then I'll have room to come across. So let the hip rotate up so that you've got a twist going. If you, again, you might want to build like a little stack of things, like you can take one leg and sort of rest the other one on top of it with a little block underneath, or you can do a pillow over there, a couple pillows. And then I like this hip to get further away from the ribs, so I just stretch right there. And you can see how it goes to move your arm as well. Take a nice big breath. Let go of the side, bring your leg back around, and then we'll take that guy down. Now, just for a moment, you can either do a little back massage or some little windshield wipers. And then just rest both legs. You can either rest them in this position where we started last time, or stretch them both out and rest them. Just see if you can notice any differences between the sides that we have done and the side we haven't done with the strap yet. Sometimes I notice like the leg's a little longer, it feels a little softer. Just kind of checking things out. Like, where do you notice the difference? And we'll check it out again. So again, this leg can stay with this bent position to start with. or you could let it kind of stretch out and relax. We're going to hug the left leg in, give it a little bit of a squeeze, and then spin the foot in circles. And then go the opposite direction. And again, you might decide, oh, I want to do more of these. That's fine. Stay with it as long as you like. Point and flex your foot when you're ready. Alright, so we're going to take the strap or whatever you were using last time when you're ready around your foot. Same notions. Now one side could be a little bit different than the other. My left side is a little more sensitive near the outside edge of the hamstring, whereas my inside is a little more sensitive towards the inside edge of the hamstrings. So, oh, sorry about that. You scared me. Anyway, if you're not being scared by tiny whiskers touching you, you might notice other sensations. So you might notice like there's a little bit of a difference. You can rotate again, rotate the leg to kind of manage some of that challenge. Let me move that for you, then you have some space. Oh goodness. Do about 3 more breaths here. Alright, so then we're going to take the leg out to the side, and again you can add a little bit of extra support with a block or a pillow as you like. Make sure you've got nice deep breaths going. Apparently I'm jumpy today. We're going to take a handful more breaths, probably about 5. And then when you're ready, you'll come all the way across so that we make it into a twist. And again, you can just hang out there or create a little bit of structure so your leg has something to rest on. Maybe make a little more room right there if your hip is willing to shift. we're going to take about 3 more breaths here. Right, so I'm coming on back around. Oh, let go. And then again, once you've sort of gotten your leg placed down, you can do a little bit of movement. Stretch out a little bit. Let's see where everything landed. Oh, goodness. So, if you're still with me, we're going to come to a seated position, do a couple of extra poses there. We were lying down for a long time, so if it takes a minute to come up, I understand. It's very likely it will take me a minute to get myself all the way arranged. Alright, so just choose a cross-legged position where one leg's in front and the other leg is, you could have a half lotus if you love that. You just need one leg to be distinct from the other, because we're going to use that in a second. So once you're sitting up, we're going to rock back and forth in this kind of cat shape, where the back rounds, and then broaden through the collarbones like you would for a cobra. Get the pelvis a little more involved or a little less involved, as the case may be. I'm going to sit up nice and tall and rotate towards whatever leg's on top. Then you're going to pick that knee up and bring it toward you. Now, you want to hold on to the knee, but you don't have to hold on to it with a death grip. You just want to hold on tight enough that you've got a little bit of movement in the shoulders. So we're going to take the shoulder that's holding on to the knee. That guy is going to go up and out. And the shoulder in the back is going to try to go down and in where that shoulder blade left, okay? So up and out with this shoulder blade, down and in with the other. Sit up tall enough that you can kind of feel that movement in your upper back. And then just kind of let it go free. And then again, up and out and down and in with the shoulder blades respectively. And then coming out. And then back in. And then out. And then back in. Oh, it's good. And out. And then one more time. We're going to hold it this time. So I'm going to try to pull my right shoulder blade way out and try to really snuggle my left shoulder blade into the center. Release it and come back around. You can stretch the legs out. Give them a little bit of a shimmy. I'm just going to pause for a moment and let everything kind of settle. Moving the shoulders feels really nice. Alright, so here's the tricky part. For most of us, sitting cross-legged on the floor is a one-way kind of event. So putting the other leg in front is tricky. So if you need some extra props, like maybe you need to put a little pillow or blanket or something under a knee, don't be afraid to do that. And then we're going to do these little side-to-side movements. So we're going to round, kind of try to shift a little bit into that side and then shift a little over this way. So we're just kind of moving the ribs back and forth. And the pelvis can come with us a little bit as well. This is mostly ribs. Kind of shifting over to one side and then shifting over the other way. So 2 more of those. Okay, so then once we get back to the center, we're going to sit up tall, twist. Again, you can lift that knee up to give yourself something to hold on to. And then we're going to use the shoulders to create this little movement. So now my left shoulder is going to go up and out, the right shoulder is going to go down and in as best I can. given the circumstances. So up and out, and then down and in. Up and out, and down and in. Oh goodness. As tall as I can. Okay, so now we're going to do it one more time and hold it for a moment. So I'm really going to draw my left shoulder blade out and try to slide that right shoulder blade lower, lower, lower as I breathe. Last breath there. I'm going to come around. Little jiggle in the shoulder blades feels nice. All right, we're going to end this whole situation with a wide forward, or a forward bend of some kind. So you can do both legs straight out closer together, both legs straight out wider apart. That's the one I'm going to do. Or you can come back to this little butterfly shape and fold over that way. Which one's right for you? Some of us have different anatomy, so there's different rules. So we're going to fold to whatever degree is appropriate to fold. If you want, you can keep your back a little longer, or you can let the back round over. So whichever one feels more interesting. Be careful if you have herniated discs in your lower back with letting your back round. Almost always those herniations are on the edge that becomes tricky with, and can cause a little extra pain. And you may not even feel the pain in your back. You might feel it like sciatica down your leg. So just being mindful of that. Now there's a theory out there in the yoga books that forward bends are calming or restful. And the question that I always have is that true for me? And so if that's true, if they kind of help us go inward, especially if I close my eyes, it works. But I often wonder, is it real or am I just highly suggestible? But see if you can sort of let go of any notions you have about the pose and just feel what it really is doing. Does it make you feel calmer? Has it the opposite effect? Does it have no effect? More deep breaths here. Way up with an inhale. So for tonight, thank you so much for joining me for a little after work reset button push. Hopefully you feel a little more centered in yourself, you feel a little bit more relaxed in the areas, hips and the shoulders, where we often carry stress and tension. That you can go about the rest of your night, go make yourself some dinner or something. Or maybe you're watching this at 2 a.m. I don't know. So thanks for joining me no matter what. Nice big breath. Big sigh. Namaste.